Boaz, and welcome to another episode of the EHS Unplugged podcast. In this episode, we delve into worker participation in HSE decision making. With me today is an individual who is experienced in this area. I mean, at least he's had an opportunity to tackle this particular issue. So that's why we brought him on board. So let me give him an opportunity to introduce himself. Karibu.
Hi guys, I'm Lawrence Lagat. I am working with the Atlas now as a health and safety manager, and I would say that I am passionate about health and safety as a whole, and I think through today's topic we are going to learn from each other, and I think it's back to you, Vivianne.
Thank you. Thank you very much for honoring my invite to be here. It means a lot to me and my audience because you guys are the experts really. You've been in the industry for so long and some of these issues might seem new to us, but you guys have had an opportunity to deal with them, solve them in one way or another. So that's why I thought it best to bring you on board. So to today's topic, we want to talk about worker participation in health and safety decision making. So just tell us exactly what do we mean when we say worker participation in decision making?
So worker participation, or in other sense workforce involvement, entails ways in which an organization, that is now the management together with the workers, coming together and discussing issues of mutual concern. So these issues could range from issues that touch on processes that happen within the organization. It could also touch on the equipment that exists within the organization. It could also touch on the designs that exist. So in the discussion, the main aim is to come up with a solution on how you're going to better the processes, better the equipment that are there, and better, obviously, the productivity of the company. So it's crucial to ensure that companies have ways in which workers are engaged, because in that interaction, workers are able to air their concern. Also, companies are also able to raise their concern towards their workers, and in the long run, these concerns are taken into effect as the decisions are being made towards the execution of the various tasks that exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least that makes sense now. But then let's also talk about the approaches. Which is the best way or the best approaches available to us when we want to, involve our workers more in decision making?
So, I would say that in the industry, we have various ways in which organizations can really engage their workforce towards, obviously, the better decision making. They are not clear-cut solutions for specific organizations. What I would say is we have a couple of ways. A way will work for one company and it won't work well for another. But now what is there is the best way would be you benchmark from the industry and see what worked well in company A that might work well in our company, and what are we not doing so well that we can borrow from others. So I would say that with regards to worker participation, some of the best ways in which you can approach this would be, the first thing is, obviously, do you have a program on that? So it means you have to have a program of engaging workers. So first, by having a program, it means you need to plan well for that program. So planning for the program entails resourcing. So you need to have, obviously, the financials behind it, so it means it has to be included in a budget. It could be the yearly budget for the company. The other thing would be now the personnel. And now the personnel would be, because now we are speaking about worker representation within the company, it means that you have to have a good sample of, a good representative sample within the company. So if you have a big company whereby it has various departments or business units, it means every unit should be represented maybe by an individual or more, depending on how the structure is. So you could have maybe within this program, you could have maybe a financial expert, you could have maybe a technical expert, you could have an operator, you could have a trainer. So assuming that you have all these departments, you could even have a field technician being maybe one of the guys who will be there. So that is one aspect of it in which you need to ensure that you carefully plan, and then you ensure that everyone is represented within it. And then the other thing would be you also need to understand the pain points with regards to workforce involvement. You need to maybe read from the rest. You understand the pain points of maybe your competitor or your partner, so that you're able to come up with a good blend on how you're going to approach it. So understanding barriers towards it, because we have various barriers. And barriers such as maybe mistrust, maybe among the workforce. Other barriers could be maybe poor planning that has happened maybe to company X, maybe stalling of maybe the initially planned workforce involvement initiatives is also another thing that you need to look into before you can really have it. So I think those are some of the things that at the initial stages you need to look into before you can even have a real program running. Yeah.
Let me ask you, I like that you mentioned the barriers, but we discussed that towards the end.
Yeah.
But management, do they come in at this point? When you're talking about the approaches?
Oh, the management.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about financing,
yeah,
it's management.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about involvement of employees, management has to come in.
Yeah.
They have to fully support.
Yeah.
So are there any tips that you can use to ensure that we have the support of management,
yeah,
so that this whole program becomes a success?
Yeah. What I would say is, first of all, let us give it a legal background.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, is it a requirement for companies or management to engage workers? Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. ILO stipulates it very well that if you check on the conventions, you see that Kenya is a member of ILO, and having ratified some of the conventions, one of the conventions which touches on worker participation, we have Occupational Health and Safety Convention, which is CFIT 55, which touches on worker participation. So Kenya already ratified it, and it means that we have to implement it. And if you check also on our OSHA Act 2007, there is a whole set of subsections that touches on worker participation. And OSHA, if you check, OSHA specifically touches on a requirement whereby when a company holds people in excess of maybe 20 as part of their staff, there is need to have a health and safety committee. But now that does not also prevent you to do that if you have even less than 20. So are we obliged as companies to have these programs within our place? Yes. So that is very important, and I think that is the best thing that you can use maybe to engage top management to understand whether it is a legal requirement. But besides it being a legal requirement, it's also a moral requirement, because it's a moral duty as a company, whereby our goal or the goals of companies would be obviously to achieve profitability in the long run. But how do you achieve it? It means you have to ensure that your processes are very effective, from the resources to obviously the products that you're going to sell or to maybe give to your customers. So how do you achieve this? It means that you have to take the necessary steps. And now, who are going to do this job? It's the workers. So if workers do not understand the ways in which they are going to do it well, it means you're going to fail in maybe your objective as a company. Mm-hmm. So worker participation is critical not only in the actual task of achieving what you want as a company. Is also important for them to understand maybe, for them to understand the work that they are supposed to do, air the views that they have in case some things are not working well, so that you do not predispose them obviously to injury, because injury is costly. Yeah. If an employee gets injured, what does that imply? They might lose days. What does it mean? You might have to have people on overtime. That is a cost by itself. You can also have claims, because if they get injured, they have to claim. And so that is a whole thing that gives the necessity of ensuring that companies take up workforce involvement in their decision making.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. You've also mentioned financial, though you didn't, but it also comes in. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the benefits.
Yeah.
If you involve employees in HSE decision making, are there any tangible benefits?
Yeah.
Because remember, at the end of the day, the whole idea is to convince CEOs, top management to invest in health and safety. And this is one way. So, what are the benefits?
So, a couple of benefits accrue if you effectively engage your workforce. First of all, you're engaging your workforce to understand their issues, take up those issues, and see how you're going to solve them. And basically, the decision making we are speaking about is risk-based decision making, because as these people are undertaking their tasks, there are risks that are posed towards their tasks. And obviously this risk could predispose them to what we call maybe injury, harm, illnesses. So if you do proper engagement of employees and you take their concerns seriously and obviously put them into your decision making process, it means it will translate in the long run to obviously a reduction in reportable incidences. It will also lead to a reduction in reported occupational incidences, a reduction in injury rates. It will also lead to good company reputation, because obviously everyone would like to work with a company that is appreciative of its staff. Yeah, you want to work in a safer environment, a healthy and a safer environment. That is the thing. So overall speaking, workforce involvement, I would say, is it helps improve compliance. It increases the need for safety regards. It also builds trust among your workforce, because if you trust your manager that if you are going to air your concern and they are going to take it up, then you will be free to raise any concern that concern your health and safety. And in the long run, obviously, you are going to have a company that will be performing very well in terms of their mandates, or I would say in terms of their business, despite the fact that they might be handling a very risky, maybe, kind of job. Yeah.
Okay, so I know those are some of the benefits. But normally I also say that the more you involve employees, then you also have an opportunity of, or how do I put this? You get an opportunity to identify skill sets that you've been overlooking all this time, so that when an opportunity arises or a vacancy in the company, because normally in companies we look for health and safety representatives on site, but how are you going to be able to identify that individual on site if they're not able to bring up these issues to your attention, right? So I think that would also be another benefit.
Oh, sure.
But let me also ask you this, do you think a culture of a company, the HSE culture, it has to be mature to a certain level for worker participation to even become a success?
Yeah. I would say the level of maturity really is crucial, because if a company is still in the pathological stage, if you're still thinking about whether you require to have some regards towards safety within your company, whether there is need to have some PPEs when your people are working for you, it means there are things that you cannot think about. You cannot even think about engaging your employees. So if the top management does not see the need, that really is a big blow, because worker participation cannot even thrive there. I would say that worker participation really thrives when you are at that stage that we call that the proactive stage. Yeah, because now you start from below, then you come to reactive, and so it will work from proactive towards the mature. So the maturity of a company really matters. Yeah, so you cannot really think of such when you're still in the beginning. But obviously, as you plan, assuming that you are entering into the market as a new business, as you plan, it's good that you benchmark with others, those who have been in the industry, see how they have done well, what they are doing so well, and see how you can do it. Because as you're starting as a company, most of the times you will not start at that stage. You'll start from the beginning as you progress. So you can start with certain elements of maturity still in your pathological state, because you can do well in a certain, I can liken it to when we were at our maybe high school stage, when we had several subjects that you were handling. You have around 7 subjects that you are supposed maybe to handle. You are doing so well in others and you are doing poorly in others. So similarly for health and safety decision making within a company, certain things at the beginning stage of maybe growth of a company, you could be doing so well in certain element but not doing well in others, and obviously your maturity will be measured based on all of them. So I would say that it could come early, it could come at the very onset, but obviously it will work well. When this works well, it means everything else must be doing so well. So involvement will work well when obviously other factors are working well within the organization.
Yeah, but that was just giving me an idea for the next episode. Sorry to be saying this here, but maybe next time we could discuss, the status of OSH in, small, medium enterprises, SMEs.
Sure.
But that's for another day.
Okay.
So let me also ask you this: what are the barriers? I know you mentioned some at the beginning, but what are some of the barriers that you've encountered in trying to bring on board employees?
So Vivianne, I would say that initially I had mentioned a few barriers towards the uptake of worker participation within various organizations. And I would say that there are two most common, plus others, but the two most common are issues concerning ownership and trust. So let me go with trust. For trust, for many organizations in the past, it has been found, and also based on experience, that when workers air their concerns to their managers, at times those concerns rest with the managers. They do not go all the way towards the top management. So when you raise an issue, for example, with your manager, the manager fails to escalate it higher. So it means the issue rests with the manager and your issue is not solved. So what does it imply in the long run? It means that in future you might not be willing, or you might not be willing to raise another concern, because if they always rest with the manager and nothing is being done, then there's no need. So this means that workers are going to keep health and safety information to themselves. If there are hazards, if there are issues with their sites, they are not going to raise them, because they know they are not going to be sorted. So that is one of the biggest barriers. The other thing is now ownership. The ownership of health and safety, I would say, has been quite low within companies. Traditionally, as it has been, the health and safety issues or matters usually rest with the health and safety rep or manager. Yeah. So for workforce involvement to take place, there's need for the entire workforce to take part in it, so that it becomes a collective bargaining process within the company. So in addition to the two, we also have barriers such as poor planning. Remember, you need to plan. It's a program. You need to put timelines. You need to obviously resource it. So if you do not plan very well at the onset for this worker participation program within your organization, it's not going to go on well. And then in addition, or I would say similar to that, would be the sustenance of existing programs. So if you already have a program that is running, and then you fail to sustain it. Sustaining it means you have to ensure that what has been set is being implemented. If you have timelines, they are being achieved. If you have targets, they are being achieved. If they fail to be achieved, you look for ways in which you are going to review and ensure that they are met maybe next time, and look for obviously the issues and the underlying issues, so that you are able to solve them. So those are the main barriers towards obviously implementing a good workforce involvement program within a company.
No, I mean, I was going to ask you about sustainability of this whole program, but you already answered that. So let's talk about victimization, because I know victimization comes in.
I get you.
So how do they deal, or how would someone or an HSE professional deal with victimization when trying to, increase uptake of employee, participation?
So victimization is very common within various companies, because obviously no one wants to be put on the spot for not having done X, Y, or Z. So when you escalate maybe an issue that was supposed to be handled by someone, and then the management takes it up, and obviously they have to maybe penalize someone, or obviously they have to suspend someone. I would say generally suspend someone because of such a violation. Obviously, those people are going to victimize over you, especially if they are your managers. If your managers fail to maybe do their part in terms of executing certain mandates, they'll victimize you maybe for escalating them. So the best ways in which I've seen work for escalating issues so that you avoid the aspect of victimization would be, one would be the issue, I would say the approach would be anonymity. One of the best approaches would be anonymity. So this is whereby you can have things such as suggestion boxes whereby people can just drop suggestions there without even writing their names, but obviously they have to put enough details so that you understand what the issue is. The other thing would be you could have what we call forums, such as online forums. You can have web-based forums. Could be an email, which is only accessed maybe by the health and safety professional. So you have maybe an HSE email whereby this email is circulated to all workers, so that if you have a concern, you just file that concern, and then obviously the privacy should be assured to every worker, whereby you tell them, if you send this mail to here, no one will reveal your information. So you are objectively concerned about the issue at hand. I've seen also other organizations, especially like now the organization that I work with, we have what we call safety cards. So within these safety cards, because at times for the field worker, it's hard to have that handyman possess maybe an email address or even a smartphone to start with them. So you could have a safety card whereby when you go to a site, you can distribute those cards to obviously those who are there, all members of the site, and you educate them, you inform them that if you have any concern, just call this number or text this number about the concern. You can mention the site name, and we are going to preserve your safety. So obviously these people, even if they are not going to escalate the issue when it happened that very day, maybe when they get to their home, at the comfort of their home, because now they might be feeling safer at home, they can even call you and tell you, I'm so and so, or even they might not even mention their name, but they tell you, I was at this site, you came, you gave us this card, and this is the problem that I'm facing. I'm hoping that you're going to help us sort it. So that way also is very critical, because now you can assure them that they should report tomorrow to work. You're going to handle the issue, and then you're not going to report them. So I think those are some of the best things that you can utilize to avoid victimization.
Yeah. So let me ask you also this: when it comes, how do I know that I have successfully implemented this such a program?
So the success of a program would be in terms of what I would say feedback. So if you need to know whether you're doing well, basically it's a feedback. Just like when I meet you somewhere and you help me at some point, I would say, hey, thank you, Vivianne. Last time you really sorted me out. I'm happy. And obviously we'll go smiling, knowing that you helped someone. So feedback is very critical, and feedback would still come in the form of suggestion boxes, because if you have a program in place and you have set targets and timelines, one thing would be obviously, as you review, when you come to review this program, is are we achieving our targets? So you could have those the KPIs. So you're ticking the boxes. Have we achieved the timelines? Yes. Is everyone happy? What are the issues of concern that are currently being handled? Are they so big or very small? So you can assess based on also the issues that now are cropping up as you progress with your tasks. So very critical. And then obviously the other thing would be, you also need to have suggestion boxes, as I've said, whereby you ask people to do what? To review a certain program. Review, was this done well? Was this not done well? And then from that review, you're able to assess whether you're okay. That is when you can also put faces there. Do you strongly agree with this? Put an emoji whether they are happy with this or not. So from there, I think you can do your own data analysis and see whether the program is working, where do you need to improve based on the feedback. So feedback is very important.
So when you started out, we really made it clear that top management has to be involved.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: do they need trainings?
Yeah.
Because most of our CEOs, they do not have any background in health and safety. Even the basic training they don't have. So we're trying to come to them and say, I want to involve employees all the way from the last mile individual. What sort of trainings are there available to CEOs?
So training is very critical, because information is power, and the lack of it means you might not know what is happening, and that's why, as you have said, at times the management might not even approve of certain critical budgets within maybe the health and safety department of their companies. So one thing that is very crucial even before we speak about the need for training would be having an HSE professional within that company, because who understands these issues? And why do you need this program? It's the health and safety professional. So one thing is having an HSE lead and who is qualified. You know, at times some companies could pick someone from the management or from maybe their workforce and make them there
for compliance.
Yeah, just to make them compliant. Yeah, but now the problem is the people could be lacking knowledge. So you obviously there are limits in terms of knowledge. If you do not know something, you do not know. And obviously it might also take time for such a person to understand obviously the gains that the industry has done and obviously make their company comply with that. So it's very important that you have an HSE professional. So after having one, obviously this professional understands obviously all of these requirements in terms of training. So that is when they have to do induction trainings obviously for workers. They also organize management trainings. They also have what we call the committee trainings. So obviously by having a management rep within obviously the committee, it means they are going to get this information through trainings, and if they get this information, obviously they'll be appreciative of it by understanding obviously the benefits that will accrue to the company by executing such a program within the company. Yeah.
Ooh, this has been a very informative session, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. I know it was on a very short notice. I mean, I called you just the other day and then you came. So thank you very much for coming here and sharing insights on worker participation. Because health and safety, normally we say it's continuous improvement.
Sure.
Overnight, you cannot change a culture.
Sure.
It takes those small steps daily to get to, and even when you get to a proactive, culture, you're still not there yet. You still find there are those gaps, very small gaps that you probably would ignore as you are growing, right? So it's a continuous process. So thank you very much for coming and sharing your insights or your experience on this area with us.
You're welcome, Vivianne. And to add to what you just said, in fact, I would put it this way: health and safety is not a finite process. Yeah. As you come towards the end of a certain process, another one begins. So the ball has to keep rolling. So you have to update your design, you have to update your SOPs, you have to update your risk analysis. So because risks also change depending on the equipment, the technology. Yeah. So thank you so much also for holding me here. I feel honored, and I would like to, I hope that our conversation is also going to touch on someone there, and we are also going to continue preaching the gospel of ensuring that we have healthier and safer workplaces within this country and beyond.
So thank you guys for joining us. Join us here next week, Friday at 6 p.m. We release episodes on YouTube. Every Monday we have our audio episodes on all audio distribution platforms. So join us. Bye.
Bye.